Our bread and butter here at Swing Lethal is Magic and it's Flesh and Blood. Those are the games we love. Those are the games we love playing. I recently got a chance to play Star Wars Unlimited, and I got some fucking thoughts. I got some thoughts about this game. Is this game good? Let me just preface this by saying I'm not a huge Star Wars fan. I love the prequels. I know, fucking relax. I love the originals. I love the prequels. I stopped watching everything after that. So I'm not super connected to the IP, but the mechanics of this game are really well done. And I think anybody who enjoys playing TCGs as a whole is going to like this game. I think this has something for TCG players and for Star Wars heads, is what I was trying to say, right? So let me get into the things I don't like about this game first. Let me just get those out of the way. The first thing I don't like is that they're using the resource system that Lorcana went with, where you draw 2 cards and then you look at your hand and you decide if you want to put one of those cards down as a resource, basically a land, right? You can use it to make a resource to pay for things on your turn. Now, I know this fixes the problem that Magic has with putting lands in the deck, because specific cards that are just resources and nothing else, that makes your deck bad when you draw all of them or none of them. So this fixes that problem. Flesh and Blood, I think, did this better in that when you pitch a card, it's resourced temporarily, then it filters back into your deck to be played later. I don't like what Star Wars is doing because you lose these cards that you play as resources. You lose them for the game, right? So if you have cards that you love and they're really cool, but you just need resources on that turn, sometimes they gotta go. And you gotta be fine with that. And in competitive play, I get that, and that's okay. But I don't like that from a game mechanic standpoint. And I know eventually there'll be some kind of mechanic that they come out with that's like pick a resource card up and put a new one down so you can make sure that you always have access to them. But right now, we don't have that. And that feels bad. The second thing that I don't like mechanics wise, and it's actually the only other thing, there's only 2 things I don't like, so it's not super bad. But the second thing I don't like is that damage is tracked on each unit over the whole game. Damage doesn't fall off at the end of the turn like in Magic, damage is tracked for the whole game. So if I'm playing a deck where I have Stormtroopers that are 2/2s on my side, and you attack one of them with your 1/1 battle droid, your droid will die. My Stormtrooper will have 1 damage marked on him. And to use this, they have these dumb little like paper cutout tokens. And to bring those in like a little Ziploc bag and like have them and track over like 5 or 6 units at sometimes is a lot. It can be a lot. And it muddies up the board, and I don't like it. I don't think damage tracking in this way is efficient or clean. But I mean, this could be nitpicky, right? This could get to a nitpicky type of thing, but it is something that I don't like. All right, let's move on from the negatives and focus on the positives, because this game has a lot of strengths, and I want to highlight those. A small strength that I really like is that they have a free mulligan. They have 1 free mulligan at the beginning of the game. You draw, you don't like it, you put it back, you draw up again. You got to keep that one, unfortunately, but I think having 1 free mulligan is nice. It's really cool in this game. The second and bigger thing that I really like about this is the way that turns are taken. I don't have a turn, and you don't have a turn. You and I share an action phase. Now, the action phase looks like this. You can take any of these actions at the action phase, and whoever has the initiative token at the start of the game takes the first action. So at the start of the game, if your first action is to play a card, play that card. I can't interact with it, that's fine. My turn. I don't have to wait, hey, is that it? Are you done? There's no muddiness here. You do an action, I do an action. The action phase is over when both of us either pass or try to take the initiative. So when you no longer have anything to do and you say pass the turn, I can look at my turn and say, all right, I'm going to take the initiative. That way I for sure have the first action in the next phase. And after the action phase, we have a small readying phase where basically you untap everything. Units come in exhausted or tapped down, so you can't block with them or attack with them on that turn. But during this phase, you untap and you ready everything. That way everything's ready for, to be used on your next turn. Another thing that I like about this game so much is that they have made evasion crystal clear, right? They have 2 different theaters of war, essentially. You have ground units and you have space units. They'll be denoted on the top of the card, like so. If your unit is a space unit, it's in space. Same with ground. these units can't fight one another. My space units can't attack my ground units, and vice versa. And I love that. It's so clean, it's so easy, it's just great. So the object of the game is to destroy your opponent's base. And units can attack bases or can attack other units directly. And I think that's super clean because each deck is headed up by a character from Star Wars lore. Now, Star Wars has gone with the direction of building to a hero, which I think is the most popular way to play a TCG right now. Ever since Commander became the biggest way to play Magic, now we have Flesh and Blood where you build into one hero, one piece. Every game right now is essentially pick a hero, build to them, right? And I think that's awesome because it offers a lot of individual expression. If you resonate with a character more than others, you can play that. You can play Ahsoka, you can play Vader, you can play Anakin. I'm going to be playing Grievous. Now let me take you through Grievous's deck and game plan real quick to show you why I like it and it speaks to me so much as a TCG player. Grievous's whole deck wants to make a ton of 1/1 battle droids and then sacrifice them or turn them into martyrs essentially so they can take the heat for everything that we want to be doing. Grievous's deck is built around two keywords and how those keywords interact with one another: exploit and sentinel. Now, exploit means when you play that unit, you can sacrifice any number of units that you already control, and that unit costs X amount less, where X is however you sacrifice or whatever. It's a way to discount by killing your own things. And sentinel is a keyword that says units in that area can't attack anything but the unit that is sentineled. So it's got to take the first hit of whatever happens, right? And in Grievous, these work together so well with each other because his deck wants to pump out droids. And I think that's so cool. He'll make 3, 4, 1/1 droids. Grievous himself can tap to give one of those sentinels, meaning that they will take the first hit or whatever happens, keeping your base safe, keeping your important characters safe. And then later on in the game, when you have these and you don't really need all of them, you can play these huge units that have a really high cost when you look at it at face value, but they also have exploit. So they become in way cheaper, they can be played earlier, and I really like how those work together. And I felt this kind of linear game plan through not just Grievous, but in Ahsoka's deck too, where she's all about coordinate. So you get 3 units on the field, they're coordinated, they get an additional buff. There's a game plan for each of these heroes that feels very just linear. It knows what it wants to do, it's trying to do that thing. And I think that's going to be great for newer players coming into the game. Overall, I think Star Wars Unlimited has some legs, for sure. It is a fun game, it's pretty easy to learn and pick up. I think there's room to grow as far as mechanics and competitiveness, and I would love to see where this goes in the future. Side note, I can't wait for a Jar Jar Binks deck. I'm gonna piss off my friends with the Jar Jar Binks. Oh, it's gonna be a fucking problem. It's gonna be great. I know we're here for Magic and Fab, but consider checking out Star Wars Unlimited. Thank you. You're welcome.